Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite systems. It's actually a collection of a bunch of different systems, but there's a blanket term and a core system that is used, and that is World of Darkness. World of Darkness covers a bunch of different things. My favorite setting in World of Darkness is Vampire the Masquerade. So, World of Darkness, it's a narrative system. It all uses the same basic idea of you add an attribute plus a skill, and that gives you a die pool, and you roll the die pool, and you're hunting for a certain number of successes depending on how difficult the storyteller makes the check. So, World of Darkness has also had a couple of spin offs for TV and movies, as well as actual plays. In the mid 90s, there was the TV show Kindred the Embraced, which is actually pretty hard to find these days. It's not really that great, but um, it does kind of give you a little bit of insight into the lore. I would say if you really want to get a feel for the game, watch some of the actual plays for Vampire 5th Edition. There's an actual play that I really like called LA by Night. Really engaging, well produced, and the characters are really cool. Uh, World of Darkness has dipped their fingers into collectible card games over the years. They had a couple of different ones. This was in the early day of collectible card games. The early days of Magic and stuff like that, where collectible card games wasn't really a sure thing. It was something that they were just kind of trying out. Ultimately, they didn't really work too well, and they ended up going out of the market pretty fast. Now they have a game called Chapters for Vampire 5th Edition. I haven't gotten to play it yet. There's also Rivals, which is around the same thing. I haven't gotten to play them yet, but they look pretty interesting, especially since there is some promos that you can get through Renegade Games that give you the LA by Night characters for those games. So that's interesting. I just don't have a play group locally to play board games with a lot. So that has kind of made me hesitant to buy into it. World of Darkness has also done comic books. Most recently, I bought the Vampire the Masquerade Winter's Teeth, which was really good. The art direction on that comic was really good. The storyline was pretty cool. They did a bunch of novelizations of Vampire the Masquerade specifically in the mid to late 90s. Uh, each of the books following one of the clans of vampires gives you a little bit of insight into how that clan works. They really helped flesh out the world a little bit, which is saying something because as far as role playing books go, World of Darkness has like probably the most amount of splat books and books out there. As you can see behind me, I've got a good amount of them. I still don't have everything. I'm actually pretty far away from having everything. Um, I will show you some of the uh, stats for what I have. I'm a huge dork and I keep a spreadsheet of all of the role playing games that I collect to tell myself how much of that system I have and what I still need to get. Um, it kind of helps me out when I'm shopping um, at gaming conventions and stuff like that. For years, I would go to a game convention, see something cool, think, oh, yeah, I don't have that, and pick it up, only to come home and find out that I had 5 copies of it. So, having a spreadsheet with a list of everything that I have is really helpful. There's some things that I might want extra copies of, like there's a module for Ravenloft in second edition that comes with tarot cards and the fortune telling dice. And anytime I see that, I will pick it up because it's just really cool and really cool to have if you're gonna run a Ravenloft game. World of Darkness also did a lot of video games, the most famous of which is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. which had a lot of problems. Wasn't mechanically the best game, but it has become a cult classic to the point where people are still streaming themselves playing it to this day. They have released a sequel, Bloodlines 2, and there was some good buzz for it, but it had some problems because of how many times it was delayed. So a lot of people were really annoyed about that, um, and then kind of left a bad taste in their mouth. One of the things that I think is coolest about World of Darkness, and they did it in a lot of their books, was at the beginning they would list a couple of movies and some music to watch or listen to give you the feel for the world that they were going for. Because World of Darkness takes place in an exaggerated, gritty version of the real world. So I thought that was really cool. World of Darkness started as an annual game. It started in 1991. Right from the start, the LARPing was very popular. LARPing, for those of you that don't know, is live action role playing, where people would dress up as their characters, walk around town, and act out what their character would do in that situation. It became insanely popular. I would say that Vampire the Masquerade is probably the most popular LARP out there. I mean, there's a lot of people that do like D&D type LARPs. A lot of them are like homebrew with like their own systems and stuff like that. There's a couple in the area here in the Northeast that are pretty popular. I never really got into it, at least the D&D ones. I was part of a vampire LARP in Boston for a while, but due to having some issues with some of the personalities that went to the LARP, I ended up stopping going. So, World of Darkness is usually categorized into eras, and when you're referring to, say, Vampire the Masquerade, people are going to ask you, what Vampire the Masquerade you're talking about because there's been 5 editions of it. So, but rather than say, oh, first edition, this edition, people use terms like Old World of Darkness. Old World of Darkness refers to the first grouping of games that came out when the game came out, which would be Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Mage the Ascension, Wraith the Oblivion, Changeling the Dreaming. They also released a little bit of material for Mummy the Resurrection, Demon the Fallen, Hunter the Reckoning. They had a foreign setting, Kindred of the East. They had historical settings, Vampire Dark Ages, Werewolf Wild West, Mage Sorcerer's Crusade, Wraith the Great War, and Victorian Age Vampire. I didn't do a lot in some of those systems. I've actually never played Werewolf, but I have used Werewolf as antagonists in my Vampire Chronicles before. I've played Mage a lot, but Mage can be a lot for a storyteller to handle because there's just a lot of different ways that things can happen, and it's very freeform, and that can be a lot for a storyteller to handle. I've never run a Mage campaign, but I have played in a couple. I've played a little bit of Wraith the Oblivion. Those books are pretty hard to get. I have some of them. I've played a lot of Changeling the Dreaming, which is following like Fae stuff and all of that. Those games are really fun. Mummy the Resurrection I've only played once. Demon the Fallen I've only played once. And Hunter the Reckoning. I never played the old World of Darkness Hunter the Reckoning, but I did play the new World of Darkness version, which we're going to get into in a minute. But as far as the historical games go, I played a lot of Vampire the Dark Ages and Victorian Age Vampire. Vampire the Dark Ages, I ran a long chronicle for a while where the coterie started in the Dark Ages, and then we followed them for a little bit through the Dark Ages, and then they went into Topor, which is the deep sleep that vampires go into when they're going to sleep for a long time. And then they woke up in the modern nights, having been alive since the Dark Ages, and it was kind of cool to see them in an archaic sense come into the modern world. As far as Victorian Age goes, I played for like 3 years in a play by post campaign online, and that was a lot of fun. That was set in Victorian London, so there was a lot of cool stuff there. I played a couple of different characters. Um, and Old World of Darkness ended in 2003, and New World of Darkness, which is what they called the next iteration, started in 2004. Uh, that included Vampire the Requiem, Werewolf the Forsaken, Mage the Awakening, Promethean the Created, which was a new book, a new game system that was added, Changeling the Lost, Hunter the Vigil, Geist the Sin Eaters, another splat book that they added, Mummy the Curse, Demon the Descent, Beast the Primordial, and Deviant the Renegade. They released a lot of material for New World of Darkness, and I have a good amount of it. The thing that I liked about New World of Darkness, a lot of people had issues with it because it changed a lot of the lore, and people were so used to the lore for Old World of Darkness that when the lore was changed for New World, they were a little miffed about it. But the thing that I like the most about New World of Darkness is the fact that they really fine tuned the combat system, whereas the combat system in Old World was sometimes really janky and brutal in ways that it really didn't need to be, whereas New World of Darkness was more refined and you could actually have meaningful combats without it just being a horror show. Um, After New World of Darkness was done, the license got sold to CCP Games, which almost immediately went under, and then the license changed to Onyx Path. And Onyx Path is pretty popular. They published the 20th anniversary of the games. They've done a couple of the different games. I've mostly paid attention to Vampire. I actually just listed three 20th anniversary Vampire games on my Start Playing that I'm trying to get players for and trying to run. Um, and Onyx Path produced that for a good long time. I believe they're still releasing stuff even though the license got sold again. I think they might have gotten grandfathered in that they were able to continue to produce stuff as long as it was just for the 20th anniversary edition. I could be wrong. Leave notes in the comments if you know the answer to that. After Onyx Path lost the license, it went to Paradox Entertainment, who started the fifth edition, and they called this edition the Chronicles of Darkness. When it was under Paradox, there was some issues where people were upset because there was like uh, there was use of neo Nazis, there was use of anti gay genocides and stuff like that, and people thought that touching on those materials in the way that they did was either offensive or dangerous. And, they're not terribly wrong. I will say that White Wolf and World of Darkness has always had issues with that kind of thing in the past where their games have kind of not so much catered to the alt right, but have attracted the alt right. So it's always been an issue, but to go out and blatantly say that those groups are around in the game caused issues for some people, and because of that, the license changed again to Mophidius, and then to Renegade Games, and they are working on Vampire 5th Edition, which I'm having a really good time with. I did buy the Werewolf 5th Edition as well as the Hunter 5th Edition, but I haven't had a chance to play those ones yet. I'm currently running a Vampire 5th Edition campaign on Sunday nights, set in Boston, which is right near me, and I'm having a blast with it. Again, some people are upset because they changed the lore around a little bit, but the thing that I like the most about 5th edition is the fact that they have an event called the Beckoning where all of the older vampires get called away to do whatever they're doing. They haven't really defined what the Beckoning is yet. And the thing that I like about that is in previous editions of Vampire, you would come in as a new vampire, and there was no way that you were going to really influence the city or any of the aspects of the city because there was always older vampires that had their fingers in the pie first. And wrestling them out of control of those areas was extremely difficult. With the beckoning, you can start your chronicle with some of those industries open so that if your character wants to influence the media, maybe he can gain influence in one of the local news stations or something like that, and he might not be fighting with anyone to get control of that. And it allows your characters a little bit more freedom to be a political player in the city and not feel like they have nothing to do. So Vampire the Masquerade is one of my favorite systems. I've played all of the editions of Vampire the Masquerade. I will say that my favorite edition is probably revised, with 20th anniversary coming slightly after that, and then 5th edition after that. So it's pretty cool. I like the dark feeling to it. Um, I would say that, obviously the underworld movies are very close to Vampire the Masquerade, in the fact that, I think they were sued by White Wolf for how similar they were to the story of World of Darkness. I don't know how that lawsuit ended up, but it was close enough that White Wolf felt like they could win a suit against them. So I'm not really sure. I think if you like a narrative game and not a ton of crunch, I think that any of the World of Darkness lines would be very good for you. Specifically, I would recommend Vampire the Masquerade because I feel like it has the best feel of all of them. Again, I'm probably biased because I just love Vampire the Masquerade, but um, I think it's really a good system to get into character and to play. The thing that's really cool is the games are not meant to be, oh, I'm a vampire, I'm a superhuman, and I've got all these cool superhuman abilities. It's actually intended to be a game of personal horror where you are struggling with the beast within you to sate your hunger. And a good storyteller will be able to take that story of personal hunger and magnify it. So, as always, if you like my video, please hit subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, it helps me out. I'm going to put my socials up here on the screen. I'm also going to link them in the description below. So feel free to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. And leave a comment down below if you have any comments on World of Darkness. I'd love to hear from you guys. Francie is very into my microphone right now. And yeah, so we'll see you on the next video.